Today, when people think of UFO crashes, they generally talk about the famous Roswell incident in 1947, but that didn't really come to light until the 1970s. However, over the last 70 years, there have been many more incidents of UFO crashes, and the following are just a few of the UFO incidents that have been witnessed and covered up. Number 6. Aztec, New Mexico, 1948. For years it was this case, and not Roswell, which was the most famous UFO crash site. In March 1948, a UFO came down mostly intact and was initially discovered by 3 young oil workers who were able to gain access to the ship and discovered the alien bodies. The US military later arrived and recovered up to 16 alien bodies, small, human-like, but dead and burnt. They dismantled the 100-foot diameter craft that appeared to have no rivets, bolts or seams, and took it to Hangar 18 at Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio to study. Witnesses were sworn to secrecy by the military. However, one major witness was Baptist preacher Solon Brown, who was actually asked by the military to say a prayer over the deceased aliens. Later that evening, he called his deacon to say what had happened and that what he experienced changed his whole view of existence, and he broke down in tears. The CIA, FBI, US Air Force and US Army then constituted a cover-up whose sole purpose was to surround the Aztec story with a smokescreen of lies, misinformation and destructive allegations. Number 5. Kingman, Arizona, 1953. On May the 18th, 1953, an officer on duty at an airbase control tower picked up something strange on the radar when the object suddenly lost altitude and went off the screen. So he and some others jumped in a jeep to try and locate where this object had crashed, and eventually located a domed disc embedded in the sand. The saucer was found relatively undamaged and was approximately 30 feet in diameter. Nearby was a small dead humanoid figure about 4 feet tall. One of the first Air Force military response men was the late Colonel Wendell Stevens, who witnessed the craft along with various scientists who were driven to the site in a bus with blacked-out windows, and when they arrived was being guarded by the military, who, after checking off their names, each scientist was then allocated various parts of the ship to examine. One of the scientists apparently spent 2 days at the site and determined that it was not made on Earth. Number 4. Las Vegas, 1962. On April the 18th, 1962, an unidentified and very fast object was tracked by the military moving across the United States from Oneida, New York and west to the outskirts of Las Vegas. The sighting took 32 minutes, given the object a speed of 4,500 miles per hour and caused interceptor jets to be unscrambled. It appears to have landed at Eureka, Utah as a glowing orange oval, giving off a whirring sound, and appears to have disrupted a local power station and was witnessed by several people. It then rose up and headed towards Nevada, where it was witnessed by people in Reno and was later located east of Los Angeles, where it vanished off of the radar. It then exploded near Mesquite, Nevada, as it was being pursued by the jets. An officer at the nearby Nellis Air Force Base later claimed that he and 30 others were driven to the crash site in a bus with blacked-out windows. However, one of the windows were not entirely covered, and he witnessed a damaged saucer-shaped object. Number 3. Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, 1965. On the evening of December the 9th, 1965, a bright object streaked eastward across Canada, Michigan and Ohio before hitting the ground near the small town of Kecksburg, and was witnessed by thousands of people. The military was soon at the site and set up a restriction zone. However, a witness called Jim Romansky was able to reach a stream bed where the object had come down and described an acorn-shaped object between 9 and 12 feet in diameter. It had no wings, no visible motors, no fuselage. Around the base was a gold band with writing that looked like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, with characters of broken and straight lines, dots and rectangles and circles. The body was dented but without rivets, seams or welds. Number 2. Bolivia, 1978. On May 6, 1978, in the mountains of Bolivia, many people saw an object streak across the sky and slam into a mountain near El Tade, close to the Argentinian border. On May 14th, the Bolivian Air Force discovered the crash site working with the local police. The police chief described a dull metallic cylinder, 12 feet long, with a few dents, but did not know what was inside it. However, 2 US intelligence officers arrived at the scene to take over investigations, and to this day the identity of what came down in Bolivia has never been made public. Number 1. Brazil, 1996. In 1996 in Varginha, Brazil, a UFO crashed, and during the course of several weeks, as many as 8 alien creatures were captured or killed and turned over to the American authorities. Eyewitnesses described the creature as humanoid and about 3 to 4 feet tall. They had dark brown, hairless skin, big triangular heads with 3 short horns on top, and huge red eyes that were vertically oval, which fitted the description of reptilian grey. Other separate eyewitnesses claimed sightings of an alien with a large head and very thin body, with V-shaped feet, brown skin and large red eyes. Around midnight, between January the 19th to 20th, North American Air Defense Command contacts the Brazilian Air Defense and Air Traffic Control and warned them of a UFO coming down over southern parts of Minas Gerais state. This is confirmed by a Brazilian Air Force man and an employer at the radar facility at the Air Force Base who received the information. On January the 20th, after midnight at approximately 1:30 a.m, a farm worker couple, Augusta and Eureka Rodriguez, were wakened by the distressed sounds of their livestock. As they looked out of the window, they saw the animals running from one side to the other. They then looked up into the sky and saw a silent UFO without lights. It was like a submarine-shaped minibus that was shaking and emitting smoke as it descended to at least 5 meters above the ground. A military witness admitted that the craft had crashed and he was part of the debris retrieval. Material was twisted and lightweight. Military forces captured 2 live extraterrestrial creatures, and the capture occurred in the neighbouring areas of the city of Varginha, central Brazil. Some local office staff actually claim that they treated the surviving creatures. Researchers talked to girls who first saw the aliens and the dozens of other eyewitnesses who saw them in the town.